Good morning and welcome to Raw Vlog number 45. Raw Vlogs are recorded in front of a hot beverage. Right now, I've got tea. I've already had the first cup of coffee, but now we're drinking tea. But whatever the beverage, they are delivered to you raw and unedited. In today's Raw Vlog, we're going to be talking about that confident noob, that person that you've definitely seen on the trail that probably has a little more confidence than their skills can actually handle. We're also going to be talking about a whole bunch of other types of riders that you know and love, but we're doing it all through the lens of the Dunning-Kruger effect. If you're not already familiar with that, don't worry, you will be at least somewhat familiar with it by the end of this episode. If you're not familiar with the air horn or the raw vlog episodes, I'm Alan. This is the air horn channel, and this is the raw vlog. This channel and this podcast is a companion to my MTB ALAN channel, which you can click up there. Up there. Sorry, anyway, it's always weird because I'm used to like regular cameras and this is all flipped. So yeah, anyway, up in the corner, that's a link to my main MTB ALAN channel, mountain biking oriented content every Monday coming out from that channel. And then on the Airhorn channel, raw vlogs every Friday. Wow, that was really messy, but this is raw and unedited. Anyway, Dunning-Kruger effect, that's what we're going to be talking about. And the inept, the noob with too much confidence, as well as a whole bunch of stuff. I already said that. So yeah, this is raw vlog number 45. Let's do channel news. Channel news. So if it's not already clear, we are trying to go back to the classic raw vlog style. One of the things that was really cool about, let me dump my tea bag out. One of the things that was really cool about the original style of raw vlogs was that I was really just bringing you along on my morning routine, and I know a lot of you dug that. So I'm doing what I can to bring that back. Obviously, we're not in the truck like we used to be. We are at my desk having my cup of tea, which I always have after I have my first cup of coffee. I need caffeine. Anyway, so that's what we're doing. We are still going to be doing interviews, but they're going to be in the more like real podcast style, and we're going to be calling those air horn interviews, air horn episodes. So if you see it's a raw vlog, it's going to be like this. Whether it's at my desk or eventually maybe we'll get back into the truck and be going to get coffee. And the air horn ones will be actual interviews and more podcast style, and they'll tend to be a little bit longer. So that way we'll kind of keep them a little bit separate. I mean, technically, the interview with Matt and the interview with Tony from the Outsider MTB channel would have been episodes 1 and 2 of the Airhorn podcast, but just to keep the numbers clean, we're going to consider those to still be raw vlogs. And then the next interview we do will be episode 1 of the Airhorn podcast. In other news, the upcoming episodes for the MTB ALAN channel is going to be a look at some of the tents at Sedona Mountain Bike Festival that I found interesting, some of those vendors. It's a bit of content that I really couldn't fit in anywhere else in those Sedona episodes, and I still wanted to share it with you. But this Monday is going to be a double feature because we're going to do that. We're also going to be releasing, I always say we. Anyway, we'll get to that. But the channel will have I will also be releasing a sort of ASMR mountain biking video. It's going to be just trail noise and beautiful views, no music. I promise a minimal amount of heavy breathing, but yeah, I know a lot of us could use that. I know after I did that ride, I actually just came home and the next day was just listening to the audio of that. So yeah, maybe I'll even release that as an audio as a podcast, an ASMR episode. Yeah. In other news, the Airhorn channel, we recently hit 200 subscribers. So thanks everybody for bringing us to that number. Congratulations. We've gotten past 100. Now we're already to 200. And the thing I like about those numbers going up, it's not so much about the numbers. It's just knowing that this community continues to build. And the more people we have, the better it gets. The more input I get, the more comments I get, it just makes it a richer channel. So if you know somebody who you feel could benefit or just could benefit from watching these or listening to these, please do share it out. They might just dig it. Yeah. Thanks. So that's all of channel news. Stuff I forgot. So actually in the last episode, we had hit 100 subscribers at that point, and I just had forgot to say that. Stoke of the week. So yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that the Stoke of the week this week is COVID-19, but not really. How could that be the Stoke of the week? It's related to it, right? Apologies if you're sick of hearing about it, but for me, this is really kind of a positive note. I've just seen so many businesses, so many people just really stepping it up, just across the board. I've seen how, people are just putting in additional hours to, like people at the grocery stores are putting in additional hours. Actually, I'm going to put a link to just a post that I saw. I'm going to look it up real quick. There was a post I saw on Instagram this morning from a guy I know. I know him through the from the path, and that's this guy Ryan Brousseau, and he did a post, and he showed some. I don't know if you can see, he's like just showing some mountain biking stuff, and then he shows a picture of empty shelves, and at first I was like, oh, it's another thing about being, stuff not being in stock, but he actually works at Stater Brothers. He's a manager at Stater Brothers, and talked about how his crew has just been so dedicated to serving the public, to doing what they can. And I just see that across the board. I've seen, like in my local coffee house, they've made it a lot easier to order stuff, to follow protocols. They have, they're doing the 6-foot shuffle and just making it work. And then so many of you who have been more conscious about when you go out on the trails and keeping that social distancing, as well as being a little bit safer when you're riding and making sure that you're not risking ending up in the urgent care ER. So I just seems like, I feel like we often have this kind of negative outlook on humanity. And when things like this happen, a lot of us just immediately assume that everybody's just going to go crazy and act dumb. But in reality, we just see how many people, how the mass majority of our societies just are thinking about other people and just being safe and doing what's right for the larger community. And I think that's really cool. So that's got me stoked. Tea time. Oh, that's good. Okay, let's jump into the subject, which is the Confident Noob. So, like I said in the intro, we see a lot of types of people on the trail, and we have different reactions to that. But I wanted to unpack a lot of kind of what we see happen. So allow me to share this little chart. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, I'm going to do my best to describe what I'm doing. So hopefully what you're seeing here is a chart that on the y-axis, on the up and down, we have a sort of confidence, right? A level of confidence. And this is like, you can start with I suck, and at the very top you're like, I'm awesome, I'm the best thing ever. And then on the x-axis, the horizontal, we've got the level of skill, and going from total noob through intermediate all the way up to expert at the very far right. So if you were up in the upper right, you would be like super confident, super I'm awesome, and also just an amazing skilled rider, right? So one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say there is this kind of what I would call a sort of danger zone. So like if I draw a line here, so I'm drawing a line, you know, like kind of in the middle. This danger zone is, wait, sorry, a little lower opacity. Okay, so this danger zone is basically if you end up having confidence higher than this line, this is where you're risking injury. This is where you're risking things going wrong. So if I, let's say I'm like right here, right? I'm above this line. It doesn't matter where it is. I could be anywhere here. I can be here. Wherever I am along the line of my skill, if I feel like if my confidence is too high, then I'm really just kind of risking injury. So you would think really what would happen is if I'm a total noob down here, right? My confidence level should just kind of match, you know, where I'm at. And then as I continue to grow, right? So as my skill goes further up, my confidence goes further up. And so this danger zone line, right, continues to go up and then this would like gradually go up and then the 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 danger zone would gradually go up. So as my skill increases, my confidence would increase. This, however, is not reality. If you look at what normally happens, you'll start out as a noob. You'll have no real skill. You'll be relatively inept at mountain biking. And what'll happen is you'll start gaining a little bit of skill, and then your confidence level goes like way up here, and you're like, I'm freaking awesome. But you'll notice that the danger zone, right, which actually probably should be down here, it hasn't changed, right? That your confidence is up here, your skill is not that, your confidence is very high, your skill level is still closer to the noob, but you have a high level of confidence. There's a, if you look at, so this is where we get to kind of the Dunning-Kruger effect. What'll tend to happen is the person who, you can really only have this level of confidence because you don't know any better, right? It's just a general lack of awareness. Simply put, it's being ignorant of what is actually needed, what level of skill there is. There's just all like to the right of noob. There's just so much to know, and there's no way to know it. So, according to the Dunning-Kruger effect, what will tend to happen is something will happen up here while you have a high level of confidence, but a low level of skill. And for us mountain bikers, that could be a lot of things. That could be a big old crash, a big old thing that happens. I don't know what that circle means, but it's just like some big old thing happens up here. Um, and then your level of confidence drops, you know, but you know, your level of confidence drops and your skill level really hasn't changed. It's maybe a little bit higher than it used to be, but it's still lower than when you thought you were awesome. This could also be small things, right? It doesn't have to be a big old crash. It could be a bunch of little things that happen, right? There could be like the first time you saw yourself videoed, you thought you were going over that jump and catching all kinds of air, and you realized you were barely getting off the ground and actually casing the jump. And then, you know, maybe you came across some terrain that you couldn't ride that you thought you would be able to ride. And then again, you might, you know, another thing might have happened, whatever that is. You tried to keep up with a rider that you'd seen on YouTube and you actually couldn't keep up with him, whatever it is. But your confidence gets lowered, right? So, according again to the Dunning-Kruger effect, what'll happen at this point is like you'll be pretty down in the dumps. You'll be down here. Your confidence will be low, but you will start to take on skills and learn skills, and you will often go through this period, through intermediacy, through being an intermediate, where you generally feel like you suck, but you're still kind of starting to gain skills, and you may have this kind of flat period. But then eventually your skills start to go up, your confidence starts to go up, and then you're like slowly just kind of like growing. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, we've gone up very high to I'm awesome but with low skill. We've dropped down, our confidence has dropped down, but then we've gained skill, and then the line is going up and to the right, and our skill and confidence are increasing together, correlating together until we're like, yay. But in reality, actually, according to the Dunning-Kruger effect, you actually never get to that level of confidence. Your level of confidence will be a little bit lower. It'll be down. Oops. It'll be your level of confidence will just kind of be lower, right? So it used to be, you would hit this really high level of confidence before, but now your level of confidence is going to be a little bit lower. And the reason for that is because now you know better. You know that there's going to be terrain that you might not be able to ride. There's going to be things that like you don't know. Like, when you were a noob, you didn't know that you didn't know. And as you gain experience, you know that you don't know. Now, here's the thing. Based on my experience, and this is n equals 1, right? So I'm going to just kind of keep this here. Just kind of drop the opacity on this so you can just kind of remember, like, this is what the Dunning-Kruger effect says. Let's just clean this up a little bit. So we've kept the Dunning-Kruger effect line, like that you will see if you go on Wikipedia and look this stuff up. That's kind of what it looks like. Here's what I've seen. I've seen this usually happens, right? The first initial like skyrocket to the first initial like skyrocket up to high confidence, low skill, and then something happens. But I've seen a couple of things happen here where something happens, the person should really be losing confidence, but for whatever reason, they don't. Their skill level, maybe they lose a little bit of confidence, but they don't lose enough confidence to start moving right on the x-axis, to start gaining more skills. And real quick, let me ask you this. Where is time shown on this chart, right? We've got the y-axis with confidence. We've got the x-axis with your skill level. A lot of people will associate that x-axis with time, but where is time shown here? Andy and Joseph from Trail Features, let everybody else answer. I'll tell you. Okay. Yes, that's right. This time is shown on this line, the actual line that I'm drawing, right? So you don't have to go any particular direction. You can go up or down, left or right, but the longer the line is, the more time that's passed. So I'm drawing a big old squiggle. So like that's what your path could look like. So sometimes what'll happen is you'll come across a rider who's lost a bit of confidence, but they're not really doing anything to gain skill. So their confidence goes up and down and up and down, and they're just kind of like circulating in this like high level of confidence, but low level of skill. And maybe they're kind of creeping forward a little bit, but as you can see, like this is a lot of squiggle, this is a lot of time, right? And also, the danger zone is still there, right? So they might be kind of constantly going up and over that danger zone. Where are we at? Wow, we're going really long. Okay, so hopefully that's not you. Okay, hopefully that's not you. What I've also seen happen is like they will drop down enough, our confidence will get low enough, and as a note, this confidence coming down is a necessity. This is the thing that should trigger you to start gaining more skills to gain your confidence. Use these skills as your way, as your stepping stones to higher confidence. But what I've also seen is people dropping down, their confidence drops down. The danger zone is still low, and then for whatever reason, right, the confidence level shoots back up. Oops, shoots back up. There's a little bit of skill gained, and then the confidence levels jumps way back up, past the danger zone, and then something happens, a crash happens or something, and then it drops back down. And there's a lot of like up and down kind of stuff, right? So that's not necessarily great either. So, I and okay, so really quick, so you may know these types of riders, you may know the type of rider that has a high level of confidence, at least outwardly has a high level of confidence, but their skills don't progress that much, and they can tend to be a little bit sensitive to critique. You've also seen that person who like is often doing some pretty gnarly stuff, some pretty rad stuff, but is like getting injured on the regular basis, and constantly having to kind of come back and forth. So yeah, that's kind of the different kind of rider. And what I find interesting is like if you're any of these types of riders, like even if you're the like classic Dunning-Kruger effect arc, and you've like gained all this kind of skill, you may be looking back, at these other riders, and especially looking back at the like the inept the inept the person who doesn't have the skill but also has a lot of confidence, and wondering like what the heck, like why are they like that. But the thing is we all do this. We all do the initial little bit of skill gaining and then high level of confidence. So it's something to remember. As a note, there's nothing really wrong with that initial ascent into I'm awesome. This is really, for a lot of us, what got us hooked into mountain biking. We got out into the woods, we started learning to do a few things, and then we immediately just kind of we just experienced this. We had this amazing experience with mountain biking, and that's a lot of the places where we get hooked. It's just we just have to we have to go through the dark times to get through the light. So ideally, this classic curve is what we want to do. If I can bring it back, this is what we want to do. We don't want to do the squiggly lines if we can help it. If you can keep from being squiggly, don't be squiggly. That's the lesson today, is don't be squiggly. This is going to happen. Here's the thing that I find interesting too, though. Like if I were to zoom in to any one of these, there's going to be like a little mini version of this. So I've zoomed way into the line so that the line is big and fat. But this is going to happen with all kinds of things. We're going to have this initial, sorry, let me back up. Let's say you just started jumping, like you've become really good at technical riding, but you've never gotten good at jumping. You may experience a little mini version of this while you're learning to jump, right? So I think that's also something to keep in mind. So different skill sets, even different trail types, you'll experience these little ones, and these little ones really just kind of add up and add up. And if you're doing the squigglies and the little ones, this is going to be just as much of a problem. So I'm hoping this will let you see that that noob that's out there that's way enthusiastic and probably more confident, their level of confidence is more than they. What am I trying? There's a really nice way to say that, which is they don't have the skills to back up their confidence. That is normal. So when you see that, just know that, and ideally, and especially if they're your buddy, do what you can to keep them from getting injured. Be aware, like close calls are a great moment to just kind of help them along. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. If you want to know more about the Dunning-Kruger effect, check it out. Dunning-Kruger. Yeah. This is the one. This is the one that always confuses me. The one that stays confident but doesn't gain skills. And I often wonder like how to get through to that person. In any case, to sum up, um, be aware that everybody is on their own arc, on their own journey, and you never really want to look at any person as a static point. And also to know that there's a whole different range of riders. And for me, the most important thing here is to know that this kind of slump, right, losing confidence and being in, a kind of dark trough of low confidence and still kind of low skill, this is where you have to go, and you have to kind of feed on that to really gain skill. Because if you do that and you remember that, and you remember that, like, you really should never be at the I'm awesome level of confidence, I think that'll just kind of serve you pretty well. So yeah, I hope I hope we didn't get too technical and too philosophical, and that is useful to you. Yeah, if you have comments, questions, if you know anything about this or think I'm just totally full of crap, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to hear it. Hopefully you dug this. Hit that like button. Check to see if you're subscribed. If you're not, hit that subscribe button. I'll show up in your feed and you'll be supporting the channel. All right. See y'all next week.